let me know in the chat if you can see me. But it's a tough one. It is a tough night, but yeah. Here's what it is, guys. Alright, but unfortunately, Michael is tending to an emergency, so we're doing this solo dolo tonight, and it's been a little bit since I've been on the ones and twos, so please bear with me. But yes, it's gonna be a little rough, just like how rough it was tonight against the Red Bulls. Not good, not good. But yeah, let me know if you can hear me as well. I am going to get this stream going in a second here. Gonna get a thumbnail on there, but yeah, just let us all air out those thoughts. Air out those thoughts in the chat. I will get to them. Just an abysmal night. That is for sure. But yes, let's see. Get to you guys shortly. Man, yeah. Now, what can we say about this game, right? Like, what is there to say? There is a lot of thoughts going through my mind, that's for sure. But we will have some special guests tonight, so we will make the most of this this result, this just terribleness. But all right, got a little bit of it settled here. So this is like kind of a real-time one. Like I actually have to set up a whole bunch of this stuff, but all right. Terribleness. But all right. Okay. So yes, Connor Watson, hello. All right. We will get our first guest on here. Try to get that audio going. All right. Our first guest will be Henry Higuita. Yes, let me know if you can hear me in the audio all right. But yeah. Now let me know what your thoughts are too. I mean, Sayonda. Hello. Okay. I hear noises. Means somebody's on. It might be Henry. We're gonna test his audio real time here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let's hope everybody else can hear you. Let's give it a second here before we go full on in your opinions here. But here we go. Here we go. Check, 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 check. And if you check for me,
Yes. Check, check, check.
okay, go on.
Check.
Check,
Yeah.
check. Okay, cool.
Check, check,
Awesome.
check.
All right. Chat, let us know if you can hear us. That would be lovely. We would love to know before we get too deep into anything. But and Henry, just a tip: try not to move your head too much. Not that you are, but it's very very delicate frame here. So
I'll try my best.
all good, all good. All right, here we go. Well, yes, excellent. So we have Henry Higuita of Dirty South Soccer on. Yeah, it's a 4-0 loss against the New York Red Bulls, and man, just sum up what your thoughts are because it's not a fun one, but I'm curious what you think.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on. First of all, I wish we had a more positive results to talk about, but yeah, I mean, I Red Bulls came to play the Red Bulls game, and Atlanta United really invited them to do that and allowed them to do it. And I don't think that we really have anything new, anything that we can truly learn from this game because it's really similar to a lot of uh, the previous times that Atlanta United has faced the Red Bulls. Right? They come out with just this intensity, this high pressure, and they make it very difficult for Atlanta United to play how Atlanta United wants to play, and with the possession building up, and Atlanta United can't do that. They try to play from the back through the pressure, and at first it kind of looked like they were able to sort of do it, and then it just kind of went off a cliff from there. Um, I think just and I tweeted this out during the game, like at the beginning, I said, this Red Bulls press is starting to cause Atlanta United a whole lot of problems, and one defensive mishap is just going to spell catastrophe, and eventually that's what did happen. At the first goal, Guman loses a marker on when Edelman gets into the box for a shot, and no one's there to really close him down, of course. And then the second goal, I mean, it's a giveaway off of some very well applied high pressure. So, I think it's a bad performance. Yes, it's not good, but I also think there isn't really much else to learn from this. It's the same mistakes that we've been seeing from previous seasons, from this season, and it just culminated in that.
Yeah, no, it's very well said. It's almost a amalgamation of the mistakes of yesteryear and also the ghost of this year as well. All the just different things that we do to undo ourselves, and it's all too common. And I mean, I think yeah, they were struggling on the broadcast to find some positives for us. What positives?
I mean, it's hard to see some true positives when you take this game just at face value,
Mhm.
because I mean there's very little positives to take from a 4-0 loss. But you know, I think the positive I would take from this would be, you know, it's always been hard for Atlanta United to play against the Red Bulls for a reason, and it's because the Red Bulls play a style that is very well set up to counter how Atlanta United plays historically, and it's nothing new. Like it's been happening since 2017. Um, so the way they set themselves up with that high pressure just makes it hard for Atlanta United. And so I would say this team still can go on to beat other opponents, can still, you know, look strong against others that don't press as highly. Uh, but, we saw some good transition moments from Atlanta United at some points when they were able to get forward into the box. They created actually the first shot on target, and then they just weren't able to do much else after that until the second half when they really started, picking up the intensity, getting on the front foot. But they just weren't able to find a goal. And it's hard when you go down on the road because Red Bulls do what they did. They just started to bunker in and counter, and they got two more goals out of that at the end. So
Two
you know,
deflected
uh,
goals, which I think just kind of lays it out how unlucky we were on the night as well. Like, can't get the lucky bounces, and then yeah, the maybe the two chances that we had, maybe two chances. Yeah, we don't finish them. Yeah, that first one with Wiley. I mean, it's a pretty good strike for a right-footed uh, hit for a left-footer, but I mean, it's just our second shot didn't happen until like the 65th minutes. Shortly after that, there was a third shot, but I mean, yeah, it's exactly like you're saying. That's it's a tough game to really pull a lot of consistencies out of. Worse, or definitely better teams have definitely you know lost at Red Bull Arena and made it to the playoffs, or in our case also won MLS Cup. So it's definitely, maybe it's not something that it's a fireable offense, but it's definitely one of our worst results at Red Bull Arena. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of feast or famine. Yeah, with LA United, right?
yeah, I think the worst part about losing in this way is that Red Bulls had only scored 13 goals on the season
Yeah.
before tonight, and I think Sydney tweeted out earlier that this was the first time that Red Bulls had scored 3 goals in a game this season,
So a
which
fourth
kind
of
of
their
highlights
goals.
just how,
Yeah,
yeah, pretty much.
if my
So it's
maths are
not good.
correct. Yeah,
Uh,
it's a real bad night in terms of kind of allowing them to do what they do best, and pretty much us. Yeah, we didn't really do much of what we do best at all. I mean,
to tactics that uh, were were or have historically been used to uh, contain players like Lionel Messi.
mhm,
And basically, it's what you stagger the players and you send one at them. If that player can't get the ball away from him, you send another one, and you just throw some players at him
mhm,
to make it really hard for him to advance. And that's exactly what's happened.
mhm.
And I can imagine he's been frustrated
Yeah,
at that.
mhm,
Um, it's he hasn't been able to play the way he wants to play
mhm.
because teams know how to stop him, and it's only going to get worse if Atlanta can't figure out a way to play around that.
Mhm.
And it's even worse when Almada has to come back to his own half to really get the ball because there's just no one to move the ball forward into the attacking half for him. So I think if Atlanta can find some sort of progressive passer to get the ball to him further up the field and to sort of assist him so he's not all alone in that midfield, maybe he can find himself relieved of some of that pressure and we can see him pick up where he left off in, I believe, March, February, which is when that international break was.
Yeah, those are all great points. It's a matter of, yeah, maybe finding someone Darlington Nagby esque to be able to get him into better spaces. But on your point about Lionel Messi, it's that they've had to throughout his career move him more to the wing to allow him basically more space. To basically operate against maybe the chances where he can go one on one against a defender, because yeah, there are other players that the defense has to keep honest for. And I think that's the difference right now is there's not really anybody in the midfield that the defense has to really keep honest for, and that's the issue. That if he's in the middle, if he's in the 10, there are pretty much there's 3 to 5 players that can be around him at any point to crowd him out, and so it's possibly maybe he needs to be moved out to the wing, to be able to operate a little bit more kind of one-on-one chances at times. But it's not with the roster that it's currently at. I think there's nobody in the middle that will be able to maybe get the ball to him. Yeah, it's probably a flawed roster to be able to break down really really good high pressing teams and deep lying teams at the moment. But yeah, but in terms of those 2 to 3 players that the front office has mentioned that we might bring in, they're targeting. What are the positions that you think that we need to bring in?
So, first and foremost, and actually, I'm writing a piece for Dirty South Soccer that should be out next week about the transfer window and some of Atlanta United's needs. So, but for me, there are 2 positions that definitely you need someone in those, and for me that's the number 8, central midfield, and then the other one's the right wing, obviously, because you got to replace Luis Araujo. And even though I think Wolf has stepped up a bit and done some good things, I definitely think this team could use someone maybe with a bit more experience, maybe with a bit more ability on the ball to play on that side. But for sure, for me, probably the very first priority is getting a number 8, a center midfielder, someone that can progress the ball, someone that can, not be afraid of pressures coming in of, finding a forward move. Because really, when I was watching this game and I was looking at Mateus Rossetto, I was getting very frustrated. And anyone who sees my tweets during the game, that I was kind of losing patience with him, because he just, there was this one moment in the game that stands out to me, and it's him carrying the ball out of sort of the defensive third, I think off of like a goal kick or something, and it's just him, right? And then here comes a Red Bulls player just kind of like sort of trotting towards him, and Rossetto kind of like doesn't run, but like kind of walks a little bit towards him too, kind of like it looks like he wants to take him on or something. And then the Red Bulls player like gets closer and he just turns around and passes it back to Juanjo Parada. And man, like, why are you stepping up if you're not going to find a way to move the ball forward? If you're just going to recycle the ball back, do that earlier. Do that before the player comes in to pressure you, I think. But yeah, for me, it's been they're not good at all.
And I'm sure
and I would share some of them, but the list is just long and it's not fun.
I'm sure it's possibly 10 other players, but yeah, I'm sure the pass map as well looks pretty bad. I'm sure, yeah. I mean, it's never you go to Red Bull Arena to pad your stats, and that's never the thing. And it's still a wonderment. We played really well in the past, like maybe like if ever the 2 games that we played well against them by bypassing our midfield. Yet we continued to try to do the same. Yeah, definitely plug your Twitter handle and anything else that you've got coming up, and yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. You can find me on Twitter at HA Higuita, and yeah, you can also see the stuff I write on Dirty South Soccer, including my recap for this.
Yeah. So yes, definitely check all that out. He's a great follow as well, and yes, definitely really appreciate you coming on, Henry. And yeah, hopefully next time we talk to you, it's a much better result, which probably should be pretty easy. I would venture a guess, but But yes, thank you so much, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, man. All right. So that was Henry Higuita. Follow him on Twitter for sure. Next up, we have Sydney. He will be coming on. I'm sending him a message. It's I appreciate you guys bearing with me. It's yeah, definitely wish all the best for Michael, uh, for the family emergency, and yeah, hopefully everything will be okay. For nothing, it's the old for nothing joke. Except we don't we're not the beneficiary of it. That's the sad part, unfortunately. And let's see what else we have. We have Connor saying, add this game to the bank where Atlanta was tactically outmatched. Yeah, that is very abundantly clear. And JB says, if done, we will be one. Muster any positives out of that, but how did you find this match?
Yeah, just I mean, it's Red Bulls. I mean, the, it's no surprise how they want to play, how they want to approach the match, and for whatever reason, Atlanta United don't really know how to ever cope with it. I mean, they won the home fixture a few months ago at Mercedes-Benz, but still, I mean, for whatever reason, when it gets to Red Bull Arena, they just forget how to cope, and I feel like maybe it's the overall approach. Maybe it's just how Lady United takes these games on. I mean, you can't use the same tactics you would use against, say a NYCFC or a Charlotte, just throwing teams out there. You approach to soccer. Um, However you feel about it, that's just how they play the game, and it for whatever reason it works against Atlanta United. I think it's 9 times up there at Red Bull Arena, at 0 wins and 6 losses, 3 draws, something like that. But in the regular season, but it's just a frustrating night. A little better in the second half in spurts, but yeah, nowhere near good enough, for the balance of the match. So it's another frustrating night, and hopefully they get right on next Sunday against Philly.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating beyond end for sure because yeah, I was saying to Henry, it's yeah the couple times that we've played them well, there's a thing that we were doing. We were bypassing that press and basically playing it long. Yet instead, we play exactly to our kryptonite against them, and we do the thing that is the definition of crazy. And ultimately, I mean, yeah,
Uh,
it's mistakes from the high press. Even though it's like we lull ourselves into a false sense of confidence. We're like, oh, okay, the first 10, 15 minutes, okay, we're not doing too poorly playing out from their press, and
mm,
okay, it's looking okay, and then yeah, a simple throw in. I think it's this. Maybe we need to talk about
yeah,
Andrew Gutman and his defense.
yeah, yeah. It's just been on just very very disappointing form over the past few matches, and for a good portion of the season. I mean, obviously he has a nose for goal, and
Yeah.
he obviously has the ability to get forward on that side of the pitch, but defensively, just unfortunately, he's been a liability. And great guy, um,
Hmm.
good presence on the field, but again, just very disappointing form. And I'm not ready to say LA United should look for totally new options on that side of the pitch, on that side of the defense. Hopefully, he kind of steps out of it and it eventually improves, but just another disappointing match from him. And you obviously don't want to lay it all on him,
No.
obviously, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's just not, like I said, not good enough.
Hmm.
And it was not the reason for it, but a very big reason for it. So it's
Right.
disappointing, really.
Right, and especially when going into the match, yeah, New York Red Bulls, they don't get scored on a lot. and they also don't score many goals. I think it was you that actually tweeted out that
Except tonight.
yeah, that they had only scored 13 goals all season, and now
Yeah.
they've scored a fourth of their season's goals against us. So fantastic, love that for us. But
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
the aspect of it, I guess, is this. Yeah, it's not a blame on Gutman per se on the whole match, but it is a setting of the tone, right? And when that happens, when it's so difficult to score against them, I mean, I think I went in with a 1-1 draw prediction. I think I saw you tweet out that it was going to be a 1-0 win for Atlanta United. Obviously, we're both
Yeah.
wrong, but it is that, right? It's that setting the tone. It's like if we scored first, that game state would have been a bit different. New York Red Bulls would have been opened up a little bit more. I mean, they got scored on twice last match. They were able to come back, but still, it's one of those like they can be scored upon, but you probably have to score first, especially on the road. I mean, okay, let's get to the positives, if there were, that you saw from LA United, if any.
Yeah, like I said before, yeah, for maybe the first half of the second half, a little better. They start to get into some more advanced spaces. They start to really look the part, and obviously all came apart as soon as Red Bull scored that third goal. But even though it wasn't clicking, it wasn't coming together fully in the final third. At least their life, and I feel like if they hadn't given up a goal right before the half to go to 2-0, I mean, that would have been a much different story. They've been a lot more confident, but again, a little better. It feels like they were finding ways to get, like I said, find maybe a few ways to solve, this just difficult press that Red Bull had, but in the end, unfortunately, didn't happen, and of course, fall 4-0. So I guess that's my one positive, I guess. I mean, it feels kind of weird to say because again they lost 4-0, but that's one positive I have. And then, I don't know. It's tough,
Yeah,
4-0,
I
but
mean,
like I said, it feels like there's a few signs of life in the early of the second half at least. But yeah.
yeah. And I asked this asked this to Henry as well, and it's basically, yeah, Thiago Mata has been struggling for his form. Obviously, he just came back from international duty, but it's been a minute since we've seen the best from him. Maybe sans some free kicks, but yeah, I mean, what are you seeing from him that's maybe attributing to this form?
Yeah, he's a young player, and we saw some really good play from him obviously earlier this season. I think it's just one of those situations where you have the peaks and then you have the valleys. Still has much of his career ahead of him, so I don't want to say that this is a sign of things to come for him. I think it's just kind of just a run of disappointing form. Not terrible form, but just a run of the substandard form for him. Still had a few good matches. Still had a few good moments in the match, so it wasn't a total wash. But just kind of a valley that he's going through right now. And we know his quality. We know what kind of player he is. Still, I think leads the league in assist, or may have been overtaken. I don't know, but we know the kind of player that Thiago Almada can be, and hopefully coming back home. I mean, granted, they play Philly, who just scored, I think, 3 goals tonight. Yeah. But hopefully, moving forward, he can kind of find his legs out toward the latter portions of the season. I get away for the international break, try to get his, I don't want to get his fitness back, but get Thiago that we know and love. So, again, hopefully he can get back to that point sooner rather than later, because he's going to be a massive piece to the puzzle for Atlanta United if they make the playoffs, and you hope they do, especially with the transfer window coming up and the opportunity to add several key pieces that Henry was just talking about earlier. So hopefully better days to come for Thiago, and yeah, hopefully he can kind of play off this run of form.
Yeah, and speaking of that, it's the front office has pretty much said that maybe 2 to 3 players they're wanting to bring in the window. Which positions are you feeling like Atlanta United need the most?
Yeah, I heard Henry kind of talking about it earlier. Definitely the midfielder. We talked so many times about since Nagy left, Atlanta United really haven't had that presence in the midfield that he brought. So I think that's a big part of it. Maybe a winger, maybe a tab level winger or something like that. Just someone to really own that part of the field in a way that Rudry wasn't able to during his time in MLS. So maybe that's another move that you make. He's away or injured and really own that part of the pitch. And yeah, I don't know if they're eventually going to get Conway back up there. I doubt it. I don't know if he's going to be kind of that striker that they hope for. I feel like that ship has sailed, even though he's with Atlanta United 2 right now. But yeah, someone out there that can really, again, show his quality when you don't have Giakoumakis, so you're not leaning on him to score all your goals. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I don't think you need to fire anybody. I mean, I don't think that Benitez's job is in jeopardy. I think he's here for the remainder of the season. But at the same time, Garth Lagerwey and Carlos Bookin, they really need to put their heads together and say, hey, we got to get this right. And we have to get this team better because, you hope that we don't see many matches like tonight, but, it has to be the standard, a much higher standard has to be set.
Right. And I'll leave you with this. I think we all saw this from Mike Conti, that LA United, we have, an XG of, I think, 1 point something, I think maybe 1.8 or something with goals conceded with Miles Robinson. Without Miles Robinson, it's a 3.8 or something. So pretty freaking bad there. And to speak on that probably, because he probably, I think, won't be back until at least July. He's got a hamstring injury as well with that, and so it's going to be a long while. We still have matches in between. Yeah, it seems like he probably won't re-sign with us. It will be probably a miracle if he does. That seems like a center back might also need to be in the cards as well, because our depth is pretty shallow. But I mean, what are your thoughts there? Should that be a priority?
No, it certainly should be. I mean, I mentioned Cobb. He's obviously their center back of the future, and he'll go back to the Brob if he's out for a long period of time. You'll see Cobb out there for minutes that he otherwise wouldn't receive. So maybe again you get a depth piece there when the transfer window opens up, at least to take you through the rest of the season and then see what happens. But yeah, it definitely should be a priority. You don't want a guy who has, I don't know how many minutes Cobb has at this current point in time. It's not a lot, but I don't know if he's really starting quality at this point.
Right.
Maybe in 2014, 2015 he will be, but not yet. He's still super young, and you don't want to try him out.
To get back to, I guess, you guys definitely, you had something going on in the DSS spaces, so I'll let you get back there, but really, really appreciate you coming on. Plug your Twitter, plug your podcast. Please do all that.
Yeah, on Twitter at shwrites, SHWRITES. I think that's my podcast, Scarves and Spikes podcast, which I co-host with Tyler and Tommy. But that's every week. And Yeah, having a lot of fun doing that. Probably won't be as fun this week with the loss. But yeah, Scarfs and Spikes podcast. And then, again, I'm on Twitter, SHWrites, SHWRITS.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, always a pleasure seeing your articles and yeah, interacting with you guys. And so definitely looking forward to having you on again. But yeah, hopefully you have a great rest of your nights, and we'll just try to all forget about what happened on that pitch. All right, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Cheers, David. Thanks.
Thanks. All right. So next up we will have Bill Gluckman. So Bill, hop on in. But yeah, let's read the chat a little bit in the meantime here. What are you guys saying? Definitely drop more of your comments in here. Looking forward to your opinions and what you guys are thinking. But Connor Watson says Gutman is a left wing back playing as a left back. Pretty simply put, he gets the job done when he has great cover from Miles, but he still is leaky in the back. Connor Watson also said the situation with Almada seems to be he's having a dip in form, teams figuring out how to counter him and the team, and possibly having his mind focusing on brighter skies / Europe. Definitely, possibly the case, that's for sure. But yeah, definitely, yep. Keep leaving your comments there in the chat. But we do have Bill now on. And Bill, man, just lament with me, I guess. You know, how are you feeling? You're usually pretty positive. Usually, you know, pretty measured. How are you feeling?
I'm trying to stay fairly even keel.
Yeah.
After the Columbus loss, I was fairly even keel about it. But yeah, it's same story. You come out and you think you're going to play through presses on the road on this league, and you're not going to do that. And you're certainly not going to do that with our midfield. Yeah, it was bad. It was real bad. So you just can't play the same way you play home and away here unless you were the best team in the league. Even Tata tried that, and we still couldn't do it. We got embarrassed by Red Bulls and Toronto at the end of 2018 on the road because we thought we'd just play through them, and you can't. So no adjustments from Pineda. We need some. If you're going to go on the road, just be smart with the ball and just sit back. Let Wiley, Wolf isn't fast, but put Lennon up there. Just let them use speed. Let Almada counter. Just wait. Just be patient. Kick the ball the hell out of the back. Don't need to pass it around.
And one of our best spurts in the match, we were playing some one-touch stuff that kind of ended up almost at the feet of, or maybe at the head, maybe more so of Yakumakis. But yeah, it was when the Red Bulls keeper was able to stop that out. But yeah, it was kind of a early balls over the top. I think especially in that instance, it was Lennon, and so it doesn't have to be slow, methodical possession. It can be one-touch football, but it seems like we were just outworked a lot of that match. Is that how you saw it?
I think a couple things. One, you just have to move. If a winger isn't cursing out every midfielder at least 3, 4, 5 times a game because they thought they were open and they didn't get the ball, you're not doing it right. You're not playing as a winger right. As a striker, you should be doing the same thing. You should make a bunch of runs. You should be pissed off when you don't get the ball. And you should make a bunch of runs where you don't get the ball. Because we're static. It's a very static system. The second thing is, I think the majority of the game was just, understanding what teammates' capabilities are and what they aren't, and kind of utilizing that. So if you have Brad Guzan in goal, stop passing the ball. If you're Parada or Abram or Ibarra or Rosetto, just clear it. When in doubt, just kick it out. A throw-in is going to be a lot worse. Is going to be a lot better than giving up an easy, counter. And we give up multiple easy counters by just playing dumb balls through the middle. And, I think that was the death fall is The Red Bulls are smart, methodical in their press. They come forward when they need to. When you give the ball to Guzan, they're going to come forward. They're going to give Parada enough space to hang himself. Those type of things are simple. You just can't let teams do that to you. So to me, it's just a stop giving the ball to people on your team who you don't think are going to be okay with it, and just kick it out. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Give the other team a throw in.
And it's interesting, yeah. The lineup looks pretty good coming in. You have Yakumakis up top. You have Thiago Almada coming in. Obviously, the last match against NYCFC, different type of game, but I think we saw a lot more movement. We saw a lot more energy, hunger, fighting for duels. That was not really the case in this match. Sans probably for the fight, in my opinion. Did you find it that way?
I agree. I think a small percentage of it, and I'm not going to make too many excuses, you play midweek, then you go on the road. Some of that's going to suck. But and you got guys traveling from various different distances, so you got different things there. But yeah, it didn't seem like the same amount of hunger. It seemed like the same amount of mistakes that you shouldn't see from professional soccer players, combined with less desire to kind of overcome that just by sheer force of will. Like, I don't think the New York City game was anything where we go, man, we really looked good and played well. It was just a bunch of people who were trying pretty hard to win. Tonight, I think, we had possessions at times that looked like a team that was talented. It just wasn't, frequent enough, and we weren't just busting our ass to get the ball in the back of the net. So, to me at least, you gotta figure some of that out. And I think, I said the same thing after the Columbus game. I'll say it again. At halftime, who's talking in the locker room? Which of the players do you think is making a speech?
It's a very good question.
Maybe Brad, but Brad can only do so much. Like, you need someone who plays in the field to get on people. I mean, maybe Yakumakis is that guy at some point. I'm not sure he's there, but I just think you need a 6 or an 8 who can, move people around and tell them what to do. I think that frees up Almada. I think that frees up a lot. So I'd be using a lot of money on finding a 6 or an 8. You add João Paulo before this injury to this team, and this team is not quite shield contention, but not as far off as you would think. This team is 10, 15 points better than they are right now.
That's a very interesting. Yeah, I mean, in this sense, is this team okay after this loss? I mean, it's a very forgiving league. Obviously, we've seen that in the past. But does this hurt the psyche of Atlanta United?
I don't think so. I think the team will be okay. I think you just have to basically ride it out until Miles gets here. I think there's a very good chance you get embarrassed on Sunday against Philadelphia. That's going to be a tough one. You're at home, which is good, but somehow that'll end up in a draw, but that's fine. And then you've got, back-to-back road games after that where you've got to play well, and one more game before that at home against Orlando before you start Leagues Cup. So you got a tough start to July, including a midweek match in New England. After you go Montreal, New England, Atlanta. That's not a fun set of fights. So you got to find a way to get 6 points from those 4 games. I think it's doable. Those are 4 tough matchups, but once again, it's a stupid league. Stupid stuff happens. You just need your players to be lucky that day. So I don't think this hurts as much as it should. I think we're probably playing near where we should in the league. We've fallen back to earth quite hard. But I think the team bounces. The cool thing about young players, they may not know how to fix it in-game, but they usually know how to forget. So like Wiley and Wolf are going to play like they did previously. Abar is still going to truck people for no reason. Like, those guys aren't going to need a lot to forget this game. They'll need a lot mid-game to fix what they're doing, but I think confidence-wise it'll be okay. We'll be struggle busing our way through those next 4 games, and to get points, it'll be fine. That schedule does not get easier in August either.
oh,
Yeah.
that stat, I think it is. We have the hardest run-in for the rest of the season of all the teams in MLS apparently. So yeah, no, it's it's gonna be a thing where we need some replenishing of the depth, some uh, some players that can make a difference, especially when some I guess not only a DP has left, but also Miles Robinson being out for some time. I mean, we have the window, we can do something. I asked the question of Henry and Sydney, which positions do you think are the priority?
Well, you need a. If you can get two center midfielders, that would be great. You need a 6 and an 8. I think you can get by with one or the other. If you get one or the other who's very, very good, max TAM or DP level, don't care which, just buy in. Um, I think you can be okay there. I think that would make the biggest difference. Um, a right winger who could score wouldn't hurt. I don't think. I think if you signed between those three positions, two of them, it would be okay between a 6-8 and a right winger. So you should have a DP spot and potentially close to max TAM available, and that should get you, two very, very good players. You need seasoned vets. You need João Paulo type. You need a Nacho Piatti type. You need a guy who's going to come in and play like someone who's a 10-10 guy if you get the winger, or play like someone who's an elite midfielder. When you do that with two of those spots, I think you've got a really good chance to make a run. And if you don't fix two of those three spots, there's a good chance you don't make the playoffs, and then everyone can get fired. But I think wherever you find the better player for the money, you spend DP money on a 6-8 or right winger, and then max TAM on one of the other two positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I mentioned that stat from Mike Conti, and it's pretty dire when Miles Robinson is not in the match, or playing rather. But do you feel like it's really that bad when Miles Robinson doesn't play? I mean, does it feel that bad? I mean, obviously the score line, is pretty indicative, but it's one of those. Is it just the boneheaded mistakes that we just cannot shake? Like it's not like these teams are, you know, uh, just like running us riots through like really fantastic on the ball play. It's a lot of mistakes and maybe our own undoing or switching off. But do you find it, where you feel that way too? It's like, is it that drastic for you when Miles Robinson plays and doesn't play?
So I think there's three things about Miles that make things interesting. One, Miles is a very good center back. He is an elite center back. He's in the top 3-4 center backs in the league. Even in his down form this year, which hasn't been quite as good as he was pre-injury, he's still a top 3-4 center back in this league. That's the great part. The second thing is Miles is pacey and anticipates well, so he erases a lot of that error. And both of those are good, but I don't think either of those are the biggest contributor to why we're so much worse without Miles. It's that the third part, we don't trust the people we replace Miles with. And so every person is trying to do more than they need to do to cover for the person they think is a hole. And that's the recipe for the disaster. I'll use Man City because they're fun to watch, but like Holland is out there. That changes the way every single other attacking player plays when they know he's out there. When Kevin De Bruyne is out there, it changes the way every single other midfielder plays. Like those type of players where you sit in this league, and Miles is this league's version of that kind of talent. But Virgil van Dijk, when Liverpool won the Premier League, like you can count on them, so you don't think about it. So you work on the other things you need to do. And every single player looks like they're covering for what they view as a weakness that Miles would actually cover for. So they're like, Gutman's like, man, I need to do more because I'm not going to, if I just jockey or try something, I'm going to get beat bad, and he's getting beat bad. He's thinking about doing things that he shouldn't think about. Parada's trying to do more than he normally would. Lennon's going to do more than he normally would, all to make up for the fact that the Miles isn't there. So to me, it's a issue of not trusting the next man up very well, and I think that's some coaching and that's some issues with roster build.
Yep, roster construction is definitely a major issue for a lot of teams in MLS. We're not the only team that deals with this, but obviously, I think there is a major drop-off from the starting 11 to the more ancillary players. So it affects us nearly every game because that's been the case. We have not started our first choice starting 11 very many matches this season. We all wish probably that we had Man City depth, but that's that there's only really a couple teams in the world that have that ability to field 2 starting 11s. But in MLS, I mean, we just we struggle hard, and especially on the road. And it's one of those, the road form has not gotten better. We're still, if not the worst, or maybe second worst in the league in terms of form. We have 1 win in 20 some odd games, so it's bad. What do you think we can do in the short term about it?
I mean, and Pineda has to change tactics on the road. It's simple. You just sit back, add an extra defensive player, just sit back, figure out some very simple tweak. You don't have to do a ton. Take Wolf off of the lineup today. Have Almada float a little. I mean, you've got limited options today because nobody is healthy, but just throw an extra midfielder in, do something different, just so that you're sitting back further, and then just play for the counter. There's just no reason to possess. Let them possess. Put the ball in their side of the field and let them possess. Let them play out. Pick them up, 3/4 field. Let them have some space in their own 18 on attack on defensive third. But you just got to sit back more if you want to win on the road. The problem with depth in this league is depth comes from 1, value signings, and 2, academy. And our academy is slowly coming along, but obviously we've sold 2 academy players who were good. Some of our prospects have come up short of what are hoping, and right now there aren't a ton of guys from the academy that you're hoping to see on the field, and that's problematic. And there's just not a ton. Like Dom Dwyer was a value guy last year. We don't have a single value guy like that. I mean, we've got a lot of guys that are highly compensated who aren't contributing. We have 3, $550,000 to $700,000 players who give you very little so far this season between Rossetto, Abram, and Etienne, and you can't have that from the players that you should be dunking on. Signing a 27-year-old who's been playing for 10 years for $700,000, you should know what you're getting. You miss on Eric Lopez, Barco. It is what it is, but you can't miss on those guys, and that's how you build a team that has some depth. We missed on so many.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be frank here. I mean, there are aspects of our front office that deserves that blame for the roster construction, and the leash is quite long. It's been for years, and it's almost like we're accepting the faults, the blemishes, and I don't know. Do you feel like Atlanta United fans should expect more?
Yeah, I think there were, in 2019, unrealistic expectations of what the future looked like. The reality is you're not winning the Cup or the Shield every year. 2019 was a very good year. If you could have 2019 every single season, you would take that. You're a goal away from hosting an MLS Cup. You won an auxiliary trophy. You were second in the East. that's a fantastic year in this league. For me, every year, that should be the expectation of bare minimum. I think fans should expect more. Now, I think you can judge different pieces by different things. So, to me, Boca and now Garth to a lesser extent, as he gets going, he'll have more of the blame. But they get judged on the overall budget. We have the most money in the league. That means we should have the most money for the academy, the most money for the coaching staff, the most money for the 6 players you can spend ungodly amounts of money on. So that's part one. Boca should be building a top 3 or 4 roster every single year. Pineda should get blamed based on the roster. The reality is the roster has no 6s or 8s that I would want to start, and that's problematic, and that's not his fault, and that makes really any formation impossible. But, it's probably a 7 or 8 seed roster, so if he's not able to achieve that, he should take the blame. So the fans should expect a top 4 team basically every year, and if you get slightly worse than that, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You get 10th or worse 2 out of 3 years, that's just bad. Really, really bad. You can only use so many excuses to be that bad. You missed the playoffs twice. That's rough. That's more than Seattle's missed it in 14 years.
Exactly, and that's the barometer. That's what we're trying to reach. That's as well. We have, at the very least, we have the best supported, at least from a stadium standpoint and at least paid attendance standpoint, in the league, by far. And from that deserving standpoint, if we want to call it that, fans aren't getting what they're paying for. It's very underwhelming if, the entire fan base essentially shows out, but, there's a lot of mediocrity that's being accepted. But, I mean, that's maybe that's just me. But hey, Bill, always a pleasure. Do you have some final thoughts on this match?
Final thoughts in, I guess, 8 days. People will forget about this. We'll play Philadelphia to draw, and we'll be back to being the mediocre team we want. So, calm down just a little bit today with the pitchforks. But if there isn't real movement in that window, and the window will open in a week and a half, we could be in for a long July and August.
Especially when there's a lot of fixture congestion as well coming up. So yeah, this is a very, very key period in the season, and a lot. All right, man. Yeah.
Another plug. Join the subreddit. I'm one of the worst mods there, and have a good one.
That is not true, but yeah, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. So yeah, let's see what you're writing in the chats. But yes, Gavin will come on next. It looks like it might be Gavin's comments as well. But Ibarra just destroys to have fun. He has awful ball control, and he only looks solid at the beginning of the season, and identical with the team. We haven't been that good since the start of the season. He also wrote, I feel like we have a trend of being a team that has a good start with a horrible end, and we could see a season with a horrible start to a solid end, excluding the playoffs. Hopefully that's not the case, but Gavin, welcome to the show. Turn on your camera if you can. Bill, yeah, Bill just doesn't want to show his face, but there we go. There's Gavin. There's that beautiful mug. All right, here we go. So, Gavin, let us know your thoughts on this match.
Yeah, first off, I don't mean to make things personal, but I'm wishing the best for Michael for whatever's going on. Just want to say that. Yeah. But hats off to the Red Bulls. Tonight was absolutely embarrassing, terrible even. I don't really know what else to say because the attack was just off tonight and almost identical as the match against LAFC, but At this time, we kept letting the goals pour in. It's really poor football, and at this point, I'm not sure how long it's going to take for us to defeat the Red Bulls at Red Bull Arena, but I'm glad we've beaten them in the regular season for once, but this result just completely puts that behind us, and all we can really do to put this nasty, terrible, disgusting result out of our systems is to get a positive result at a Philly next game, this next Sunday, and we have lots of time to prepare for it. But they looked like an MLS Cup team tonight against Miami, as they won like 4-1. But Miami are just terrible right now. They'll probably be the best team next season, but right now they suck. It's going to be really tough since they have lots of momentum, which is something we just completely lost after all of what we've been through these last few matches.
Yeah, no, it's a it's a dire result. It's a dire performance. Yeah, really, I want to say that the less said about this, the better. But I mean, we're here for the therapy. We're here to talk about it, and through talking about it, I think we'll probably feel better.
Right.
But it is, yeah. Like in terms of maybe the pivotal moment of the match for you, what was that moment? Was it the lineup? Was it the first goal that was scored? Was it the second goal that was scored that pretty much maybe put this game to bed? What was the most pivotal part of this match for you?
It was the third goal, probably, because when it's 2-0, you always have a chance to come back and at least like get a draw. But if you get a third goal, that's just where it's most likely where you're not going to win the game. And the fourth goal was just the cherry on top for them. But the pivotal moment was definitely the third goal. It was just, I mean, it was Frankie Amaya who scored that. It was fresh legs. I mean, nothing really happens, and nothing good really happened tonight around that. But it had been the third goal for sure.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, it's because 2-0 is one of the most dangerous score lines in the sport. That's what they say anyway. Wasn't the case for us because we didn't score, so we didn't make it interesting. We didn't do enough really in the final third in general. But yeah, I mean, looking at that lineup, like, was it a lineup issue for you, or was it an application slash work rate issue?
Well, I feel like we're switching like it's like small like switches. Like we could like start Sadic for Ibarra, or we could just. I mean, it's also that Yakimakis and Almada were back. Good question, but it's like we just make. All I know is like we just make like small changes to the lineup here and then, but. There's to me, again, I said this on the other stream. The midfield seems a bit identical to me. Like they're all the same. There's like no one who's like really good. There's no one who's like too bad. It's just all the same thing that we really see. But it could be a lineup issue. It's just the key person we were missing was Robinson, because I mean you talked about the XG and stuff with and without. It's terrible.
It's pretty drastic. It's kind of unbelievable, but. It makes a ton of sense because, yeah, Miles Robinson is that safety valve for us. He allows us to play higher up the pitch. And, yeah, when we are playing higher up the pitch, we're playing a little further away from our goal, and that definitely lends itself to, less mistakes, maybe around our goal and around our box. And, yeah, I mean, I guess for you, what's something that's we're talking about players and whatnot or positions. What's the one position that you think we need in this transfer window?
Healthy ever since he tore his ACL and then eventually just departed, and I feel like we could see that with Sosa, and I feel like we could get I like how when Joseph left. I feel like the Yakimakis edition was good. Like, I know we're only like a little more than halfway through the season, but from what we've seen of Yakimakis, it's been really good. It's a really great signing. Like, I want to see something like that in the midfield. And even when Robinson leaves, game, but I just know there's a big difference between the Columbus game and this game. And it really did affect the psyche, but we had a bounce back win after the Columbus game, and I hope to see the same against Philly. So yes, it does, but we can always get back on track. And I think we have a really good shot, just that we're home next Sunday. But I mean, eventually you're going to get back on track, but it does affect the psyche for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, I think you can see it in yeah. I mean, it's Yorgo Giacomakis. He was at the end of the match. You could read it on his face. You could probably read his lips if they stayed on the camera stayed on him long enough. Like there was frustration beyond belief, and yeah, you could see it. It's like he's a player that definitely is used to winning, wants to win, and he knows it's not good enough. He's said it in press conferences as well, how he feels about not even scoring a goal in games. And yeah, hopefully he does, affect the next match a lot more in this, in the instance of, at least on the score sheet. Because I think he still was a factor in this match, but yeah, it's just that he wasn't fed the ball in dangerous enough areas. He had to play facilitator a little bit, at least for that first chance that Wiley had, our only shot on goal in the first half. But yeah, I mean it's just very frustrating, this game. But I guess yeah. Go ahead. You about to say something?
I was gonna say that was like the one like good chance that we could have sparked something. Like if Wiley at least went a corner, or if he scored that, gosh, wish that would have just changed the thing about the game. But I think Bill mentioned earlier, it was like the Rebels haven't scored 3 goals this year and like 4 on us. That's awful. And I know it's like they keep it a low scoring game, but 4-0 that's just awful, and you can't do that. And last year when we went to Red Bull Arena, it was like Joseph broke the deadlock, and then we will not talk about the end of the game because it shouldn't happen. But it's something that I thought I would have seen. Like I knew we could. Well, the one thing we could not do is concede in the first half, which we always do. We always concede the first goal, like against NYCFC, New England Revolution. We see it all the time, and it sucks because we got to get the first goal. If we can get that first goal, or just keep it scoreless for a while and eventually get a goal, I feel like that's where we have more of a chance of winning. But if you're going to go for the first goal, it's going to be real tough to win matches. And really, very few. I remember being at the San Jose Earthquakes game. We gave up that first goal, but, heroics at the end from Almada, that's probably the only memorable, like, very memorable one that I remember.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. Like, we always rely on some late magic or some moments where a player can just pull something out of his butt, and it's just not sustainable. Like Mark Nichols said last season, it's something that we tend to do. We have to rely on like the likes of Jake Mulroney, Dom Dwyer, to just have a moment of magic, and it's like we're able to do it on a consistent basis, but it's something that you can't bank on. You're not going to like if you were a betting man, you'd be crazy, and it's just like I think the fans would probably prefer something that's a little bit more less cardiac, a little less where fans are able to, like, we have this aspect of we're fulfilling the prophecy of Darren Eales. We are doing what Darren Eales pretty much prognosticated that we do in the first season, couple seasons, where we would win full level of play that is more maybe predictable to a degree. But yeah, either way, I mean, that's my rant. But do you have some final thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this is what we're gonna see from Pineda in away games like these, and if we don't get enough positive results at home this season, or make the playoffs or not, depending on playoff performance results, I think this could possibly be Pineda's last season as our coach. Because at the moment, we don't see anything positive coming our way. We're not gonna fire him mid-season, of course, but you got to give credit to the season, of course. But you got to give credit to the Red Bulls because obviously they surprised us tonight by how good they looked, and even if they know how to play us or not, which mainly they do, but To me, it's not too surprising because this happens all the time. Like I said, every single season this happens. But what mainly caught me was how good the Red Bulls looked tonight. Like, because the season they've been terrible overall, and tonight they looked like a playoff team with a cherry on top. And I really hate to admit it, but we invited them to do it to us tonight. But what sucks is that this feels like our worst game of the season because really it was a result in Columbus. But this team had with most of our starters, other than Urjo's departure and Sosa's injury, and the only key player we really missed was Robinson. Who clearly makes a difference on the pitch. And I'm not sure what we're gonna do when he's gone, if he leaves after the season. But I'm not even sure how we made it out alive last season without him. But yeah.
It's we probably pulled some miracles again and again. I think the shaman has spoken. The the ability for us to I guess fight these demons. I'm getting really philosophical, I guess, but it's probably
You'll see me in the comment section.
indeed.
You'll see me in the Instagram comment section. You'll see me in the YouTube. You'll see me there. Nothing really like to aim to go famous for much, but you'll see me around. I'm everywhere. I'm on the YouTube. I'm
Yes,
on the Instagram. I'm on the Atlanta United Instagram. I'm on everything.
indeed, and we much appreciate
Yeah, I
all that.
also wanted to note
all that
one more
energy.
thing.
Yes, go ahead.
The positive. So no collapses, no collapsing, and
Yeah.
no injuries. We didn't forfeit, and some people still have their lives after this match. But for some, maybe not mentally, but we fought until the final whistle. Those are my positives out of this one.
All right, yeah, this is true. Yeah, you don't like to see the team quit, and yeah, it didn't seem like the team was quitting. So yeah, we'll give it that for sure. But I think that's a non-negotiable. That's a baseline. So it's yeah,
Yeah, right.
But either way, thank you so much, Gavin, as always, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice. All right. So I think my apologies to Five Takes. They haven't responded, so we will not be able to add them on. But hopefully next time. But yeah. So okay. This usually is a time for the Wheel of Forfeit, but being as it's just me and I also owe you guys some forfeits, I don't think it would be all that interesting. Plus, I think we want to send some good vibes to our and my venerable co-host Michael Weiss and his family. Hopefully everything is well. He actually gave me a call during the stream. I'm gonna give him a call and see what is going on. But yeah, guys, thank you so much, as always, for watching. In spite of the result and performance, that speaks so highly of your passion for this team. That yeah, you guys are here, and so yeah, really can't thank you guys enough. The love for you guys is eternal, and yeah, we'll end this stream right here. But remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. We will see you in the next stream. But thank you so much for watching, and yeah.